So my name is Jay Inslee. I'm governor of the state of Washington, and I'm a person who believes something very central, and that is that we are the first generation in the history of humanity to feel the sting of climate change. And we are the last generation who can do something about it. And we know that this is a moment of urgent peril, but we also know this is a moment of great promise in our ability to build a clean energy economy. And we know that if we set our minds to things and goals in this nation, we can do things that no other people on earth have been able to achieve. And for that reason, I'm here to say that if I am given the high honor to be the next President of the United States, I will make defeating climate change the #1 priority for the United States of America. And I say this because this has been a great passion and project of my life. I've been working on this for a couple decades. I co-authored a book about both the peril and the promise of creating a clean energy economy 11 years ago. I helped form the United States Climate Alliance that now has 21 states that have said we are going to meet our Paris agreements, because I wanted to make sure that the rest of the world knows that there's intelligent life in the United States and that we are still part of the world community. And by the way, this 21 states is not a small thing. These 21 states that are dedicated to defeating climate change, if we were a separate nation, and I'm not suggesting that, if we were a separate nation, we would be the 3rd largest economy in the world. And interestingly enough, those 21 states, most of them are the states with the best economy and economies and job creation rates in the United States of America. We understand the peril of climate change, but we also understand the promise of climate change and growing jobs across this nation. And I'd like to talk about, for a moment, both the peril and the promise. The peril is obvious to us, should be obvious to anyone. I went to Paradise, California about a month ago. It's a town of 25,000 people. I drove for about an hour at night. And there's hardly a house standing. There was nobody in the town. And it had this feeling of an apocalypse movie, like it was a Hollywood set. But unfortunately, that is a window into our future. That is a window into what we're up against. In my state, one day last year, we had the worst air quality in the world. We had to shut down our pools because the air quality was so bad from the forest fires that cloaked the state of Washington in smoke. Kids couldn't go outside to play. We know the floods in Houston. I was in Miami Beach a couple months ago where they've had to build up the roads 1.5 feet. Now when you go shopping in Miami Beach, you have to walk down to the shops. I was in Iowa a month ago where folks couldn't get out to harvest their fields because they were so muddy because of the precipitation events. We are now on the cusp of a threat to our basic way of living. And I believe that the most scientifically literate people in the history of the planet are fully capable of rejecting Donald Trump's climate denial and embracing a belief in science. We believe in gravity, and we believe in the science of climate change. That's what we believe in. That's the peril. But the promise is equally profound and equally encouraging. And one of the most promising things I've seen was yesterday when I was in New York, where I marched with thousands of young people who marched past Trump Tower holding signs like "There is no planet B," and "Please let me breathe," and "Do your job, seniors, protect this generation." These young people spoke all across the world yesterday, and I think we should listen to them. The kids are right on this. They have challenged us not to destroy their futures. They understand this risk. I was at Dartmouth a few weeks ago, and I talked to a young woman who said that she had had 2 conversations in the last few days with her friends that really questioned whether it was right to bring a child into the world, given the potential degradation of the world's climate. Think about that, what that means in people's lives that we are at this point. But we have a generation coming up that understands climate, understands physics, is ready to build a new economy, And it ought to be our jobs to be inspired by those young people, and I was yesterday. When you see those young voices willing to stand up and leave school and make a statement, I'm inspired by that, and I'm willing to run for President of the United States to join them, and that's what I'm doing. Now, I think they also understand something that I've understood for some time, and that is building a clean energy economy really is the largest opportunity for job creation in the United States. We do a lot of great things in our country. In my state, we invented the first successful jet airliner. We invented the artificial kidney machine. We invented the digital economy. We even invented the $4 cup of coffee. We're very innovative in our state. But I do believe that our forthcoming innovation in the clean energy space will be our crowning achievement. And when you think about this, when you think about the United States, here's what we are really, really good at. And that is when there is a technological transition, we lead the world. Because it's in our DNA to create and innovate. We invent, we create, we build. This is in our wheelhouse. And we know the world economy has to become decarbonized in the next several decades. We know that there will be whole new industries and new jobs springing up. And we know this is what we do so well in the United States. We are a can-do people. We are an optimistic people. And all we need is a spark of inspiration from the President of the United States, like we had from John F. Kennedy when he said we're going to the moon in 10 years and coming back safely. I remember that. I felt that. I felt the whole country becoming unified around a grand mission statement. And this has got to be a grand mission statement if there's ever been one. To invent our way out of this pickle, to give our grandchildren a life worth living in the future generations. This is a grand mission. All we need is a spark from the White House to set this going. And I intend to do that if I'm given this honor. And the reason is because I believe fundamentally in the American people's ability to get big things done. We do big things in the United States, and we need a president to call us to a greater mission. I was reading New York Times this morning, and I read this little squib. It kind of caught my attention. It says, what we need is someone or something to unleash the hidden energy in our hearts. And I think that's the job of the next President of the United States. And if you give me this honor, I will do that. So I'm excited about the prospects of this enterprise. And the good news is it is, in some sense, already happening. Jobs in clean energy today are growing twice as fast as the average in the rest of the United States economy. The number one fastest job category growth is solar panel installer. The second is wind turbine technology. We have seen the creation of whole new industries in the last decade. We passed a renewable portfolio standard in my state about 10 years ago, and now we have a $6 billion wind industry, putting thousands of people to work when we had zero a decade or so ago. This is what we're capable of doing. And I'm seeing this all over the United States. Solar installers in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, battery manufacturers in Nevada, biofuels refineries in Grays Harbor, Washington. This is an opportunity for everyone in the United States, including in the Midwest, frankly. We know we need to connect with Americans who have felt economic anxiety, right? We understand we need to do that. Well, there's no better way than to connect than telling the story about a governor from Washington. And I had an argument with Meghan McCain on The View last week about this. She said, you pesky Democrats, we're not going to ever have cars ever again if you're in control, and we won't have railroad trains. And I said, I'll tell you what, Meghan, the governor of the state of Washington has a shiny blue General Motors Bolt made in Michigan with American workers. That's a vision statement for the United States of America. So we know this is a matter of great promise, and I'm excited about this. So what do we have to do to make sure that we fulfill that vision statement? Well, number one, we got to get a president who understands climate change and is willing to call forth the energies of the United States. We know that we have to break the stranglehold of the fossil fuel industry that has so stopped us from progress in the United States, the most powerful special interest in the history of the solar system, the special interest that has been most successful in degrading our beautiful democracy by preventing the people's will from moving forward. And the people's will is in favor of defeating climate change. I'm happy to read a poll in Iowa the other day that defeating climate change is the #1 priority for Democratic primary voters, tied with health care. This is a good sign for the future of the United States and our party. But we have to get that stranglehold off of us. That's why I'm a candidate. I pledge not to take a dollar from the fossil fuel industries. This is a pledge that everybody should live. We should go a step further, and I'm going a step further by saying, if I'm president, I'm going to do everything I can to eliminate every nickel of those subsidies the taxpayers are shelling out to go to the fossil fuel industries, old industries that are preventing the birth of new industries, costing taxpayers billions of dollars. That gravy train should be over in the United States of America. There has been an old tradition, it's not a constitutional principle, it's not a law, of this thing that Mitch McConnell has weaponized to prevent any progress in the United States towards a clean energy future. And that's the filibuster. And it is time for the filibuster to go so we can advance climate change legislation in this country. I believe very strongly in that. We will not be able to move forward if, in fact, it continues to exist. The reason I seek this office is I hold 2 titles, and #1 is governor, and #2 is grandfather. And I've been married to a grandmother now for 46 years, and we have been blessed with 3 sons and 3 wonderful daughter-in-laws and 3 grandchildren who have been officially, by executive order, designated the cutest grandkids in the state of Washington. And I know that those grandkids need a president who will stand up to give them a chance for a healthy future. All of our grandchildren have that situation. And I love being governor. It's a great responsibility. I've had a lot of success. But I do want to do what I think all of us want, which is now to be involved in the great mission of our times. This is how we will be remembered 100 years from now. Did we stand up for our grandkids to give them a healthy future, or did we not? Were we optimists who believed we could build a clean energy future, or were we too pessimistic and fearful? Did we believe in an activist America that will confront a challenge and build an economy, or take ranks with the timidity and passivity and insecurity of Donald Trump, who does not want this country to grow? I believe in the former. I'm a grandparent who seeks to be President of the United States, and I want to help and ask you to get this job done. Thanks a lot. Looking forward to the questions.
So I'm going to say this very respectfully. At this moment, you're preaching to the choir. We believe in climate change. We are aware of the severe effects of it, and I'm afraid that the common man, that there are a lot of people out there who still don't believe, who are not aware of the effects of real world consequences of what will happen if we continue to ignore this. And I guess my question to you is, how do you make this relevant to not just those of us who already understand, but to those who don't?
Take heart, and I'll tell you why. And I think I have some credibility on this issue because I've been working on this since 1992 when I ran for Congress and argued that we needed to attack carbon dioxide pollution. So I've been at this a long time, co-authored a book. I founded the Sustainable Energy and Environment Coalition in the U.S. House. This has been a long time passion of mine. And your concern has been mine for decades here, so I appreciate your question. The good news is based on the bad news. The good news is the public, the sort of independents, moderate Republicans, Democrats, are changing very rapidly in their understanding and concern about this issue, very rapidly. And I would like to say it's because of your work and my work and Barack Obama's work. That's not why this is changing. It's changing because people have seen Paradise, California burn down. It's changing because they've seen the floods in Houston. It's changing because they've seen farmers can't get out and harvest their crops in Iowa because of the mud and the precipitation. It's changing because, independent people in Bellevue, Washington woke up with ash on the hoods of their cars for the first time ever in Seattle because of the catastrophic forest fires that we have had. So the public is changing rapidly in this regard. The polling just doesn't indicate it. It's just the people I'm talking understand this. Now that does not mean that there won't be people to their dying days to refuse to know reality. Look, we cannot wait to explain physics and chemistry to Donald Trump. We can't wait that long. So we need to move forward by presenting an ambitious agenda. Now, you understand, look, I'm testing this theory. I'm running for president on this message. And some people say, oh no, that's just a single issue. Well, it's not a single issue, it's all the issues. It's the economy. It's healthcare with asthma in our kids. It's national security with the Pentagon's national security threat to the United States. I believe America's ready for this. I'm putting my life on the line for that purpose, and I hope you'll agree with me. And you might even cast a vote my way sometime. So thanks a lot. Yes.
The United States energy policy has been what some people call a solar coaster. When the Democrats are in, we have attempts at good policy, and then they all go away. How do we stop that so that we can have long-term benefits of it for climate change?
Right now, elect Democrats everywhere we can, because we have been the party of making these smart investments that have been very successful. Look, in the last 10 years, the cost of solar energy has come down about 80%. You think about it. The cost of wind energy is coming down about 20%. This has been the result of some research that we've done, but we need to do a lot more research. Let me tell you how sad this is. About 6, 7, 8 years ago when I was in Congress, I did a little checking, and I found out that we spent, for research in the United States in our federal budget, more money developing one armored personnel carrier than the entire clean energy budget of the United States. That just doesn't make sense when you have an existential crisis facing the United States. We have to dramatically ramp up our R&D budget. It has to be matched and worked in tandem with private equity, and we're doing that. I've created a Clean Energy Research Institute at the University of Washington that's doing some great work. And we're also doing, if I haven't mentioned this already, some really great policy this year to advance clean energy. So I have bills now advancing that will give us a guarantee of 100% clean electricity in the state of Washington by law. I have a bill advancing a clean fuel standard so that we have cleaner transportation fuels. I have a bill that will provide net zero energy commercial buildings in the years to come. We have a bill that outlaws super pollutants. We intend to build the first electric ferries in the United States. Norway has 10. We can run ferry boats on electricity and have none of that diesel coming out. People are breathing that diesel on our crews and our passengers. We are electrifying our transportation system with putting electric fast charging stations up and down our interstate system. And we're using our procurement policy in the state of Washington to buy clean energy. So 50% of all the cars we buy next year in the state of Washington, or thereabouts, are going to be all electric to use our procurement power. So we need to use multiple tools, multiple avenues. We're doing it in the state of Washington. We need to do this nationally. And I can report to you that this effort to build a clean energy economy is unifying multiple communities. It's unifying the labor community who understands the clean energy jobs. It's unifying the communities that represent people in poverty. And the reason is you know who the first victims of climate change are? It's people in poverty. It's people living near the polluting industries. It's kids living and getting asthma because they live next to the interstate. And so one of the good things about the Green New Deal, it is recognized something I feel very strongly about. And that is, as we are making a transition to a decarbonized economy, we don't need just a transition, we need a just transition where people in poverty can find this way out of this gross income inequality, where everyone can participate in a job to move forward. This is a unifying message in my state. I believe it can be a unifying message in the United States.